First of all, I do not like that we come back where we had left in the last episode. I do not know if they resort to this because the ratings were down, or if they wanted to give the show another edge. But even though these torturing scenes were harmless in comparison to other shows, namely Criminal Minds, which I mentioned in the previous episode, these scenes seem not at all fitting for revenge nor our leading lady. She looks a bit like crazy Louise by being so obsessed to get this wee talking, who obviously is more afraid of his boss and what he might do to him after he gets to know he was the one who spilled his secrets than of Emily, who is torturing him right now. So I was almost happy as she was disturbed by Ben and we got this little funny scene. I mean, he deserves really an award for being the worst cop ever. Sure, he is interested in this woman and the manor is huge. I can imagine the cellar must almost lay into the earth core. And no one who does not know Emily would expect that she has a secret dungeon under her house. Still, it is funny that she is committing a crime by holding someone hostage and assaulting him while a cop asks her to be his date. I really appreciate Ben's role at the beginning, being some kind of sidekick to Jack and a humorous relief with Emily. Like I said, they would have better worked as friends. Think about it, they could reverse roles here. Jack would finally get his chance with Emily and they would have problems, of course. So Ben could have been in the middle here as some kind of a mediator for both Emily and Jack, who had become his closest friends. Yes, that would have diminished Nolan's role a bit, but since he will be fully occupied with Louise soon. Anyway, I would have liked this outcome more than this half-hearted relationship we see later. And Jack hooking up with FBI agent Kate. I just feel sorry for him that he was such an easy bait. If he had been together with Emily at that moment, she would have no chance. Another reason why I would have preferred them to be together rather sooner than later. Another thing, the writers are really lucky that we have all those stereotypes and cliches from other shows in our mind. So they have not to do much here and our suspicion on Kate is piqued. Though I like what they are trying to do here with this love triangle and all the tension and backstabbing. But again, it is not as thrilling as it was in the first season. I must admit, after all, revenge really lost his drive after the first one. And though it got parts of it back in the last 2 seasons, it was never that superb again than in the magical first season. About Nolan and Louise. Here again she looks like a femme fatale and man's dream from a cartoon. I do not know if she was that comfortable being depicted as such a bombshell. Yes, she looks gorgeous, but in this season she is obviously the only woman who shows that much amount of sex appeal. Since Emily is single for most of the season and has other things on her mind than hunting after man. And Margaux is in a relationship with Daniel like Victoria is with David, they had no other option left. After all, she seems to be a substitute for Fomander. In season 1 she was the crazy one and dressed like a stripper since she worked before in such a club. Anyway, I just adore Louise's interaction with Nolan. Elena Satine and Gabriel Mann have a great chemistry. Speaking about Daniel and Margaux, I like that he is trying to make it right. I admit his attempts are not that great, but the breakfast idea was nice and shows that he is keeping attention to her life. He could have gown for roses and chocolate like any man who has to apologize. But he thought about something that would be nice for her. About Victoria holding on to David. As I said, I think she is slowly falling into this psychosis. How can Victoria think that she could become a happy family with Emily and David after all she has done? Even if David would understand and forgive her for her role in the conspiracy. What about keeping him and his little girl separated? Does he even know about that yet? What about staying on Conrad's side and supporting him almost until the very end? Last but not least, what about her killing Emily's fiancé? That is something she cannot possibly turn around, and Emily will never forgive her for that. Victoria is really delusional if she thinks when David gets to know about all this he would not break with her. She can be happy if he does not kill her himself. About Nolan's intervention. This little scene shows how far gone Emily is again. Do they want to establish that nothing is off limits here? Already in the second episode they talked about killing Victoria. Now she is torturing a prisoner and sees no problem here. By the way, I love that Nolan's mini-print shirts are back. And the maritime theme is far better, though it is not that original and creative as the shirts he wore in season 3. But it is fitting since he owns the beach club now. About Emily's date with Ben. This was fun, and like I said, I love his role as comic relief. They should have stick to it instead of making it serious between the two. I know it is become a common trope, but I like that she is beating him in anything. Ben has really no idea for what he is singing up to with Emily. About the police chief and Victoria. This little scene was annoying through. It was interesting that they cut it with Emily's date. Obviously both women resort to the same method in gathering information. Emily is using Ben's obvious interest in her while Victoria counts on the feelings of the police chief. About the end of Emily's date. This showed Ben not only that this was no real date. I think it shows Emily's major trust issues and trauma. She is still not over the loss of Aidan and climbing back into her shell. And that little episode with Daniel in season 3 when he attacked her and shot her at their wedding night must be something that is edged into her bones. So trusting man, even more a man she does not know that well, must be hard for her. About the new flashback with David and Victoria. This is raising even more questions. Why was he so reckless to steal money from his boss? And if their plan was already that detailed, why did Victoria not go through with it? Did she steal the money before she knew about Conrad's crimes? Or was it just a ruse to keep David believing she would leave with him and Conrad gave her the money to fool David? After all, David could not investigate this, he had to trust her. And before they arrested him, he did not know about the connection between that plane crash, the terrorists, and Grayson Global. Another thing, if he still has that much money, why did he not use it for his revenge like Emily did? He could have afforded to gather information through private investigators, for example about his daughter and the whole conspiracy. About Malcolm Black. Finally we get a name of the new threat. And I must admit, the more we get to know about David's past, the more I think how stupid and reckless this man is. At first it was only annoying and some kind of sweet that he has fallen recklessly in love with Victoria and fooled by her. But David really tends to make his mistakes twice, not only with Victoria but with the man for whom he works. I do not know how Grayson Global operates, but did he not get a little suspicious when he heard about Bill Harmon's insider trades? This should have been a first red flag for him about the company and environment in which he is working. Then the plan with Victoria and stealing money from his boss. Now we get to know he did the same with Malcolm Black. I get it that here, for another reason. As some kind of payback and mea culpa for all the crimes David had to commit and all the lives he destroyed in the process. Maybe the writers had some kind of modern Robin Hood in mind. Because they made Emily this heroine who fought about righting wrongs, and they wanted to go in the same direction here. But stealing money from a dangerous mafia boss is just stupid. David must have known that he put a target on his back. Or did he think that if his life was already over after killing Conrad or be killed in the process, this would not matter? At the time he broke free, he did not know that his daughter was still alive, so he thought only his own life was in danger. But if he really planned to live with Victoria, why would he bring her in such a danger? There are just too many things around this Malcolm Black story that did not end up. Which is why I hated this plot so much. Back to Emily and Daniel. Another great scene and conversation between them. I love this new honesty through it has become a trope during movies and TV shows with a divorced couple. Spoiler alert. And this scene really makes me wish Daniel had not died and we had seen more of this new kind of friendship. About Victoria selling out Emily. I do not buy her excuse later that she did not want to put a target on Emily. I mean, this was all she was doing after escaping that institution Emily put her in. And since she knew how dangerous this Malcolm Black was, she must have calculated a risk for Emily's life in. Did she really think that this top criminal was pleased just to get his money back? She could have known that he would at least hurt Emily or even worse kill her after he got the money. For me, this was one of her first attempts to kill Emily. The very first was sending David after her even though she could not know if he would actually kill her. With Malcolm Black the chances are better. So yeah, I think everything that happens in the next episode is actually David's and Victoria's fault, not Emily's. First, because David lied so long about his whereabouts and did mention Malcolm Black only to Nolan and Victoria when it was almost too late to do anything about this threat. Second, because he did not let Emily help. Even after Nolan told him that she did not let it go and after seeing what she was capable of. I mean, he did only had to research what happened to all the conspirators he named in his diary to get a good idea of how accomplished and a meaningful asset his daughter is in fighting of threats like these. Third, instead of trying to fight this threat together, Victoria puts a target on David's daughter and in fact on everyone who is close to her. About Daniel getting to know Margaux is pregnant. This was such a great news, especially after Emily hit him with her pregnancy lie in season 3. Maybe he was not that much into becoming a father, but like most men he seemed thrilled when Margaux told him. So I was very happy for both since this was really a second chance for them. And I like this subtext with her being terrified becoming a mother at this time in her life. Cause after her father's death she threw herself into work and used Daniel as kind of distraction. I think she never intended their relationship to become serious that fast. About Emily mending fences with Ben. I cannot say this enough. Why did they have to ruin this balance? They work as friends, maybe even co-workers, like they investigate David's attack here. The best scenes between Emily and Ben were when they had a common goal, like here getting behind the threat for David. Spoiler alert, and later when they went on this field trip to save his ex-wife from her violent ex-boyfriend. Ben is a good sparring partner for Emily and a nice substitute for Nolan. Since he gets caught up in Louise's family drama and cannot be of great help here. Spoiler alert. He even misses Emily's abduction by Malcolm Black. But back to Kate. I knew there was anything wrong with her when she had that immediate interest in Jack. Remember the joke from the first episode when Ben was stunned how well connected Jack is and that he was friends with Emily and Margaux LeMarchal. And he is officially David Clarke's son-in-law and father of his grandchild. Why does it not ring any bells for him when someone as gorgeous as Kate is interested in him? By the way, she was a good catch for casting. She not only looks gorgeous, there is something in her eyes which makes her look quite dangerous. When you see her looks on Jack like a predator with his bait was my emanate thought. And not that sexy type, but the look as if you want to eat someone. But play with the bait first. Anyway, this message made it clear, though I was surprised by the real connection here. I just thought she was a corrupt agent, but they did not follow the cliches. Which was actually nice. Yet again they are going all in with the femme fatale trope and combination of sex and violence. By the way, I was really furious that Jack gets a new girlfriend first. I know Emily is sending no signal that she is open for a new relationship and Ben is already on the horizon. But I really thought this would be their season. Cause after all he is the only one left and was since season 1 her primal endgame. Yes, they made us in season 3 believe she could have a happy future with Aiden, but only to crush it in the end. So at least they could have done the same here. Letting Emily finally fall madly in love with Jack and having Victoria or someone else kill him in the end. Even Nick Wexler, who played Jack, said as much when he was asked how he would have ended the show.